obviously we scheduled to have you on the podcast. I threw out to our club, the Toledo Trail Riders. I said, we're going to have Jeff on the podcast. If anybody has some questions, throw them out. We'll see what we can do. So, speaking of adventure bikes, it reminds me, one of our guys in the club, his name's Zach Park, good guy. He's from down south. He happens to be friends with a fella, and his son, let me get it here, a Brian Spencer from Atlanta. and I
so do you know the story?
Well, I do know the story, but I want you to tell it.
Okay. So listen, I just talked to Brian last night.
Okay.
So this is Brian Spencer that I'm going to tell you about. So 1989, Atlanta Supercross was my first win ever at a Supercross. And so sitting in the truck, signing autographs for an hour after the race. And the last two people in line are a father and a son. And I can tell the son was blind. And so they come up to me, said, "Hi, my name's such and such." And my son and I go to every Supercross in Atlanta. He's blind from birth. And I sit in the stands and explain everything to him, talk to him. And we're just wanting to come up and meet you and congratulate you on your day. And dude, that touched me to this day, still touches me. I just told you, I talked to Brian last night. Yeah. So that was 1989. What are we right now? 2020. So 35 years later, Brian and I talked to each other on the phone. So Brian, his blind son, Brian, every year when I go to Atlanta Supercross, I'd meet him. We'd go to dinner. They'd come to our autograph sessions, and we just kind of bonded. They had an unbelievable bond, to lay in bed that night and to sit and think about sitting in the Atlanta Supercross, not knowing what anything looks like, not knowing the colors, not knowing what a track looks like, what a bike looks like, and have your dad explain everything to you. Dude, that's unbelievable. None of us know what that's like until you're in them shoes. And so that just touched me, and we became great friends. And still to this day, 35 years later, Brian and I talk once a month. And I did an article in Motocross Action. I don't know if you saw that or anybody saw that. They said, tell us one story that nobody knows about. And so I told that half-hour story, and they produced that in Motocross Action. And when Brian and his dad saw that article, they just called me crying. And so it's just an emotional thing that most people have no idea. Somebody touched you like that, and we were able to keep that relationship. And so just a cool race thing, a race family thing. And so, yeah, that's the story.
Well, just, and that's exactly what Zach told me, because like I said, his dad and Zach used to race enduros apparently back in the day and season and all that stuff. And that's exactly what he told me. He said, you got to ask him that. And I had to up, and that, what a special memory for that young man, his dad, and you. I'm sure it humbled you that night.
Absolutely, dude. It still humbles me today. Just, I talked to Brian for an hour last night. I like to keep up with what he's doing and what's going on in his life. And, they got him a CNI dog, and he's able to get around and works every day. And just we're super fortunate for everything, the things that we take for granted. Close your eyes for 2 days and try to function. And, this guy's done it for 40 years now.
Awesome. That's really good. I appreciate you sharing that, a very, connected and emotional story, because that's kind of the neat thing about podcasts is you kind of get to develop that kind of thing. So, a couple other questions before we turn you loose. So one of our club members, his name's Kurt Adams. He actually lives in the state of Michigan. He said He said, ask Jeff if he remembers lapping me multiple times at a hare scramble back in 2008, 2009. And he says, LOL. He goes, but seriously, he wants to know, who was your toughest competition back in the day? Like the one guy that gave you fits?
I talked about that again yesterday, and I say there was two of them. Damon Bradshaw and I had great battles, and it's two different cycles. Damon and I could battle. He knew that I wasn't going to take him out. I knew that he wasn't going to take me out, and we could just battle and pass each other and put on some unbelievable, phenomenal races, Supercross, Motocross. So I loved racing Damon. And even to this day, we're still great buddies. I talk to him quite often. So there's two different scenarios there. It's that battle where we could just battle each other. I would never take him out. He would never take me out. I wouldn't have to look over my shoulder and see if he's coming, because he would always give me room, and I would always give him room. And then there's guys that was just the opposite. There was guys that you knew you couldn't trust them. JMB, John Michelle Bale, and I had some great races. I knew I could outlast him if it was hot and rough and gnarly, and he was super talented. If the track was technical and gnarly, he would definitely beat me. But if it was Southwark or Daytona, I knew I had him covered just on the fitness end of it. So, gosh, and I talked about this yesterday. Back in the day, dude, there was 9 guys that could win a Supercross. Let's name some of these: Ron Lachine, Jeff Ward, Johnny O'Mara, Rick Johnson, myself, Bradshaw, Mickey Diamond. Dude, the list goes on and on and on. There was Guy Cooper, Mike LaRocco, Mike Kudrowski. There was guys, 20-man gate. Who's going to win? There's you.
Yeah, there we go. We got you. Yeah, you were saying there was, and actually Marty and AJ and I were talking about this the other night. I said back in those times, there was, literally 10 guys on a gated Supercross and Motocross that could win. And I don't know if that number is maybe half now, maybe 4, 5 guys, in the premier class that could win.
I would say honestly 4 to 5 maybe. But like I was saying, there was an honest 8 to 10 back in the mid 90s.
And it's, I was thinking about this on the way to the podcast studio, which is at Marty's here. But, I remember when I was a kid watching, and I had to set my alarm, which is just a shame to think about this. I had to set my alarm for 3 in the stinking morning, watch it on Speed World, on a Friday night. And it was like 3 weeks after the race had already been completed. You remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's came a long way as far as that's concerned, but yeah, that's Speed World, Moto World.
Yeah, and it was great. It was awesome racing. I mean, it was just awesome racing. It's a shame that it wasn't as prolific as it is now. I mean, it's great now, right? But I mean, your generation kind of paved the way. But it's just, I remember that as a kid. Set my alarm for stupid hours of the night, to watch it, and of course I'd doze off and have to, stand up and watch to try to stay awake for the program. But
well,
go ahead, Marty.
I got you dated.
Okay.
So I used to watch it on Wide World of Sports on Sunday afternoons. So, my wife and I, we'd have to watch, Wide World of Sports to watch the motocross racing, because we never had anything we could ever, no other special channels.
Right.
So tune the antenna in, get it in the right direction, get Wide World of Sports on Sunday. So
I got one more from, actually it's from Kevin Campbell. He's our club treasurer. Nice young guy. He's actually former motocrosser, and now he's kind of coming to the off-road a little bit, and good guy, keeps track of our club money. And he said, this is going to put you on the spot, Jeff. Would you come down to Northwest Ohio and race our hare scramble, the Fallen Timbers Classic 4, on September 12th, 2021? And this part I didn't get clarification from, but it says Kevin is offering free food and free entry. And I don't know if that's on the club's dime, or is that, we're going to just assume that that's Kevin's dime, because I don't think the club can do that. But anyway, I was just on a Zoom call with the District 14 folks, this weekend we got our date for our hare scramble next September 12th down here in Ohio. So, I know you got your adventure thing going. I'm sure you got a million things, but Kevin wants to know, you going to come down and race it, Jeff, or could you?
I will have to look at the schedule. So I've got my calendar laid out for this adventure thing. So what I'm doing is I'm doing week on, week off, August, September, October. And if you're lucky enough to be on that weekend off, absolutely.
Well, we're the Labor Day week, basically. So what we get to do is 2 days of dirt.
Yep.
So we have been running a special race of sorts at MX Express, but 2 years ago, we actually got invited to do the fair race at the Fulton County Fair. So we build a track for a Wednesday night race on Wednesday, and then on Sunday, we ended up over at Heinz Farm.
Yeah, we get the hare scramble.
So
it's kind of
you got a couple of you got some motocross, then you got some off road. So it's a great weekend for that anyway. But that's been a great deal.
Yeah, this year changed a little bit because of the COVID, but
yeah,
we were at one point we totaled up. We had 500, maybe 600 racers, come into Northwest Ohio within a 4 or 5 day period of time. So that was really kind of a cool thing we had going pre-COVID.
Right.
But anyway.
But yeah, we you talked about running the team hare scrambles. My boys and my son-in-law have done. They've been doing the team for the last couple of years. Not this last year, but the year before they ran 2 Altas. So we ran the Alta.
No kidding. That's awesome.
It was it was fun. It was just something totally different, and just it was interesting to get the logistics to get the bikes going and that kind of stuff. But it was just great. So, but yeah, we do that. I have to ask you, because Ella texted me again. I need to ask you, how many deer do you have?
I've got about 100 on the farm right now.
Wow.
So I've got 25 adult does. That is really my breeding stock, and I artificially inseminate half of those just to keep my genetic pool going. And so I try to sell 10 to 15 shooter bucks a year to hunting preserves. It is what it is. I'm raising them. Yes, their life is going to end at some point. It is what it is. And so those 25 adult females, my breeding stock, will give me 50 fawns, May, June, July. Every one of them has 2. Some of them have 3. I've got one old bag. She has 4 every year. And so,
she's an expert.
So yeah, she's an expert. So I'm always at that 80 to 120 mark, with my deer.
Well, that was sweet, because you just answered her questions, because you want to know how many babies you had a year too. And so the other thing is, what got you into the deer?
Gosh, honestly, what got us into it is a mother got hit in the road not too far from our house, and the babies were in the ditch, and we picked them up, bottle fed them. That got us the itch. The next year I got my permit, started building fence, and got some breeding stock, and one thing led to another, and we've just been going crazy with it. This is my 14th year doing it.